What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Yala, your thrice weekly podcast where we talk about the hottest news with a touch of what, Terrence?
Good old humor, man.
Good old humor, man.
It's a...
Today we are recording on a... It's a what?
No, I was going to say it's a historic episode, right? But yeah, carry on. We're good. We're recording on a what?
Historic why?
No,
historic why?
just what we're talking about. Anyway, yeah. Historic. But yeah, what
was I going to say?
Yeah, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, we're recording on a Tuesday because Monday was the Festival of Lights, Diwali.
Yeah. How's your
if any of
Diwali?
My Diwali was okay. Had a small family gathering on the afternoon of Monday.
Yeah. No big ball.
And then no big ball.
Okay.
No big ball. The big gathering with my friends all gonna happen at my wedding in December. Even though some of my friends already said, "Hey, can we just have something sooner?" I haven't told them like, dude, no, no. But yeah, it was just a small celebration because I'm looking forward to seeing all of them at the wedding.
Got it.
Now I tell you, weekends, right? It's just all the admin stuff, no matter how small you want to keep your wedding, right?
Yeah.
There'll always be stuff to do.
There's always, yeah. I think that's the one thing people don't realize that organizing a wedding just can really, it's never simple, even if it's you think it's small.
Even if it's simple, yeah.
The moment there are more than like 5 people involved in anything, like in terms of guests or what, it just starts to get complicated already. That's what I realized in life.
Yeah, and then the same thing people told me last time. Yeah, you want to start off with a small wedding, trust me, it'll grow. I was like, fuck that, no way, I want to keep it small. Yep, eating my words.
It will grow and it will never be about exactly what you want. You'll never get exactly what you want. Yeah, I think that's the thing. No matter how much you try and control it, at some point you just have to understand you are clutching at sand, right? And it'll all just be out of your hands.
And I mean, if you want to fight all the way and control everything, technically you can, but you'll cause a lot of heartache, a lot of emotional distress and discomfort.
Yeah.
So sometimes you just give it, fuck it. How important is this to me?
Yeah.
Fuck it, let's go.
Exactly.
Just go.
Exactly.
Just go.
And these things can carry on for years on. Like any mistakes that are made, or at least relationships that are that are fractured because of this wedding. It can carry on like for years beyond the wedding.
Oh, you mean outside of the couple, with family relationships?
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Like who said where?
I think I pissed off some people already.
Yeah, who's sitting where? Who got invited first and blah blah blah. All that. That stuff extends for years. It comes back to haunt you.
No, exactly. I think I've already pissed off some people. Then this past weekend, we were starting on the seating arrangement, and holy shit, man! Which made me realize the beauty of the Indian weddings that I grew up with, where it's buffet meals. So you don't need to worry about seating.
Yeah.
You don't need to worry. You just tell them, okay, come here, eat, and sit wherever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
But no, now we need to decide who sits where at what table. It's a jigsaw puzzle, man.
It's a jigsaw puzzle that is I mean, ultimately, try and make it. Try and at least have. I won't be so optimistic for you, lah. It's gonna be hard to say. Just have fun on your wedding or during the planning.
Yeah.
But just don't let the marriage fall apart before it even starts. I think that's the most. That's the best advice.
I thought you were going to say, have fun. No, don't stress. No, you're fucking telling me about the marriage falling apart. Thanks,
There's
Terrence.
no way to not have stress.
Thanks.
In the lead up, in these few weeks, right?
Thanks, Terrence.
Yeah,
correct.
Just do your best to keep the relationship together,
yeah, can. Speaking of who, but yes. What? So I mean, how was your weekend? How was your long weekend? Your Deepavali weekend?
Yeah. Deepavali weekend. I'm always. I went on the. True to my word, I did go to check out Orchard Road to see whether there were really Christmas decorations up already, and lo and behold, there were Christmas decorations already up. Halloween, Christmas. I mean, Halloween. Can't blame them, right? Halloween is this close to Deepavali, right? But the Christmas decorations are already coming up in all of Orchard Road. So it's time to get offended.
You scold them or not?
No, I didn't. But I made a mental note. That, okay, this is something I'll ask you. So do you see any Christmas decorations and got offended or anything?
No way. I went to Orchard on Saturday, but I didn't even see the Christmas decorations because I went during the day.
I see.
It was a bit hard to tell. It was a bit hard to tell.
Yeah.
So yeah, it didn't even occur to me until you told me. I must give you credit for over these past few days really holding the fort as the honorary Indian person in my life.
I know.
Telling me about the rights, the deadlines for. We got one deadline where it was 12 p.m. today.
Yeah.
Okay. It was 12 p.m. over Deepavali weekend. Yeah. But I will say that the person who was more annoyed than me was Terence.
Yeah. And I was annoyed on your behalf, man. I was annoyed on your behalf.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
exemplary SJW.
Yeah, it's just like I think people just need to realize that, these holidays are more than just a day off work for people, for some people as well. And they need to do better. Need to do better. Come on, do better, man.
Yeah. I'll put in a good word for you during my next Indian people meeting, Terence. This week, my friend Terence stood up for me twice. He went to Orchard Road and scolded people who put up the non-Deepavali decorations.
Yeah.
And he told me that he's pissed off that we have a deadline the day after Deepavali.
Correct. Yeah.
I thank you for your service, Terence.
The next Hindu house meetup, let them know.
Hindu house?
Yeah. But
Hindu house,
that's Deepavali weekend.
Yeah, Deepavali weekend. But it's kind of in line with the topics for today.
Very in line. It's very in line. That's why we're spending a lot of time talking about this. We're getting everyone ready. We're laying the groundwork.
The Indian thread is present throughout every topic today. Every topic.
Correct.
But before that, anything we want to plug?
I think it's, as always, to tell people if you're enjoying this podcast, because we're going at it full steam ahead again, right? If you're enjoying it, please do tell one other person about it, or leave us a rating on Spotify or wherever you listen to this podcast, because that really helps the discovery of this podcast. And then we can't thank people enough for having done it already. But I think maybe there's a new batch of people post Deepavali and everything who are listening to the podcast and all. Maybe tell your friends about it.
Yeah, man. Cool. All right.
So just talking about a big festival that's celebrated by a lot of people in India and everything, and Singapore as well.
Yeah.
We're on to a topic that's somewhat tangentially related, right?
Yeah, correct. It was like a Diwali gift like no other.
The crowning,
like
the crowning.
Billion people. At least a billion people happy.
Yeah.
At least a billion people. And that was the news that Rishi Sunak, the politician, the British politician, was announced as the new Prime Minister of the UK.
Yeah.
I think right now he's the Prime Minister designate. So he will take on the role, but it's been confirmed. Yesterday was the confirmation.
Yeah.
How poetic, right?
Correct.
On Diwali,
Yeah. So he is just the top. He is the first British Asian PM in the UK, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
And he's also the youngest Prime Minister of the UK since William Pitt the Younger.
Wow.
So you can kind of guess how long ago that was when people were still called names like William Pitt the Younger.
Yeah.
It was about 200 years ago.
Yeah.
200 years ago. Rishi Sunak is 42 years old.
Yeah.
And
that means
he's an Indian dude.
That means he's born in the 80s. So that is quite significant. That someone born in the 80s is now the head of the UK. Right?
Yes. Just at the start of the 80s, 12 May 1980.
Yeah. That's right.
And I mean, I think so this is interesting for many reasons. Of course, we're not going to dive into the challenges he faces as the new incoming PM with the shit economy and the British Parliament almost more polarized than ever. But it's interesting because of his ethnicity, his background, and also the controversies that he has kind of had to skirt around in the past.
That's right. But I mean, we won't go too much into it, but there is all this whole sequence of events has been quite shocking as well, right? Because it's been I think his predecessor, the PM just before him, Liz Truss, was only in power for 6 weeks, or something like that. So
45 days, I think.
Yeah, that means literally since Charles, took over as the king already, right? He's had. I mean, he's going to have to help swear in two new prime ministers in that short time that he's been king. So again, this is more. I can see this, being another season of The Crown on Netflix. It should be pretty interesting. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true. That is true.
Yeah.
And I'm sure our good friend Rishi Budrani also confirm he has now a new character. At least while Rishi Sunak is still in power. Who knows what the hell is going to happen, how long it lasts.
Yeah.
But confirm Rishi is going to come out with something also.
Yeah, correct.
How apt.
Yeah.
Right.
So I mean, we won't go into too much into the politics behind it, because I think that's a whole discussion by itself. But actually, the first thing I did want to just ask you off the top of my head was, how does it feel when you first heard that someone from the Indian diaspora is going to become the UK's Prime Minister? Was there any sense of like, wow, this is a watershed moment, and collectively and everyone's very happy, or what? Is there anything like that?
Like I put on my kurta in the morning and go light candles outside of my house. I mean, I did light some candles, but I mean, I wouldn't say there's like, inner pride or something. I think it's interesting. It's cool. But it's almost like something that you could see happening lah. And what I mean by that is that over the past few years, you've seen more and more Indians rise to positions of influence in, be it huge ass companies, big tech. I mean, even locally in Singapore. So it felt like, okay, you have the CEO of DBS, you have the CEO of Microsoft, you have the CEO of Twitter, CEO of Alphabet, all Indian people.
Yeah.
So it just felt like a politician of a non-Indian country or outside of India holding a very high post was inevitable. Inevitable.
But carry on, sorry.
I mean, so when this happened, I just thought, okay, this is interesting because, I mean, like when Obama became president in 2008, there was a certain air of like, okay, some ceiling is being broken. Something new is happening. And politics since then has just been like a shit show kind of feel. But this is the first time in a long time I feel, oh, this is a new moment in international politics. I'm curious to see how this pans out.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, don't forget, we are also the country that very famously, one of our ministers asserted that Singaporeans aren't ready for non-Chinese PM, right?
Yeah,
and very, very pointedly in Singapore, because we have minority of Malays and Indians as well. So it very pointedly is saying that Singapore's not ready for that, But wow, the UK is ready for that. That seems like quite a big deal, But I remember that CNA documentary that we are part of, regardless of race. And there was a very interesting statistic that said that Indian people in Singapore are particularly a bit more optimistic than other races about whether true racial integration and racial harmony can happen in Singapore. Right? I don't know if you remember that little nugget.
I remember. Yeah.
And this is a significant number. So that's why it was specifically pointed out. Why is it that the Indian people are more optimistic about it than other races, right? And one of the things I did guess, or when I was put on the spot with that question, I postulated that maybe it's because there are more examples in the international media, in the US and the UK, of leadership, Indian leadership in, like you said, large companies, and even now in the UK as well, we have an Indian prime minister. So it gives maybe Indian diaspora a greater sense, or not Indian diaspora, ethnic Indians, right? A greater sense that that you see examples of Indian people really rising to power in these big organizations and countries. So why can't it happen here in tiny Singapore, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's overgeneralization, but what you just pointed out reminded me of that theory that I had,
Yeah, and I mean, I think there is truth to that. Because I mean, as a minority in Singapore, the Indians, they also are not native to the country. And I mean, you do see a lot of examples of Indian folks who have made it big in Singapore, but like what you say, also abroad. It's like, the Joseph Schooling effect, or even the Roger Bannister effect.
But this one's based on race.
To clarify. I have to clarify which Joseph schooling effect.
Yeah.
I mean yeah, I mean the fact that he did something that no other Singaporean had done before. Immediately, it just feels like, oh shit, this is possible. And we have seen that time and time again throughout history, right? So for an Indian person to rise as PM of the UK, which is not a small ass country, lah.
Yeah.
That's why I can imagine even like the PAP WhatsApp group where they're like, crap. Now we need to think of the next message.
Yeah.
How to say that Singapore is not ready, but the UK is.
Yeah.
How to say that? Maybe even Tharman. I don't know what Tharman feels about being PM, but I assume that, okay, maybe he's like, it's not my cup of tea. He is also like, crap.
Possible.
The comparisons are going to start, and people are already talking, right?
Yeah.
You see it online, you see the chatter.
Yeah.
So it feels like, okay lah, but then maybe it can do good for Singaporeans also. Like for the people who maybe think that Singapore is not ready for an Indian PM. You see this guy, young guy, 42, rise to power, and like be also loved by some people, hated by some people. It's interesting lah. Interesting.
Yeah. I think
interesting.
Whatever it is, like, it's a very big moment for international politics, right? To see a British Asian, a son of immigrants, especially that fact as well.
Yeah.
Rise to power. But I mean, you mentioned that there were some controversies as well in his that he's been through before. What are some of those that you were looking at?
So one is like, I mean, even now, right? I've seen some people post that, and this is on Twitter. I mean, these were individual comments that maybe got retweets and likes. So no one of like huge influence, but generally the sentiment that, okay, this is not really a win for Asians or British-born Asians, because he came from a position of privilege. He came from a position of power, and the reason they say that is because, yes, he was born in Southampton to immigrant parents. He did go to Oxford. He got an MBA from Stanford. He was a Fulbright scholar. He worked at Goldman Sachs and then a hedge fund. So already it's like, okay, he's moving towards wealth. And then at Stanford, he met his future wife, Akshata Murthy, who is the daughter of N.R. Narayana Murthy, which sounds, I mean, might conjure up different images in your head when you hear that name, but he is the chairman and founder of Infosys. Like, fucking Infosys.
Yeah.
So his daughter, I think she owns like point something % of the company, which is worth like 700 million.
Yeah.
Because the company is a billion company.
Yeah.
So around, like, broadly, there were comments about how if he goes into power, he's already part of the elite. Why would he look out for the common man? But then something a little more specific, it was in April this year where his wife, it was revealed that she has a legal non-domicile tax status. Means that she doesn't pay UK taxes on her Infosys income.
Yeah.
And that Sunak, Rishi Sunak owns a US green card. So that caused some uproar and he resigned as chancellor. Chancellor. So and even like in his ascent, there were times where I think his background was called into question and around the same thing, like, you're just so fucking rich.
Yeah.
You're just a rich person entering politics.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I mean, I think fair point lah, right? Anyone who you have a billionaire as your father-in-law and all that, it does raise in question how in touch you are with reality lah, right? But I think like what you said, there was an element of there are, if you're gonna, if people are gonna talk about the privilege and all that, they have to acknowledge that he's not what you would immediately he's not someone that you look at immediately and you think of like, the old school Wall Street or kind of privilege lah, right? That means like a privileged white male, working in finance and all that kind of thing lah. So I'm sure that he's had his fair share of glass ceilings that he had to work through as well lah, right? As an Asian person, even in a company like Goldman Sachs, that is very, very conservative, very very conservative that way lah, right? So I don't want to take away too much from his background. Although I have my own thoughts about investment bankers and all that, right? But yeah, it is. I think it'd be maybe too quick a generalization to say that he's completely out of touch with everyone. I mean, I'm not even that familiar with his politics and everything. But just from us being watching from a distance in Singapore, right? Yeah, just the feeling that because he's married to a billionaire, he must be completely out of touch. I think that's something to guard against the immediate generalization. Because I mean,
Terence,
in a related way, later the topic we're talking about is also about a billionaire from the UK who is taking a very different stance from what Singapore is saying also, right? Yeah, but you're gonna say something.
Yeah, but you think about it, Terence, Rishi never grew up in a kampong. He never had to chase chickens.
Yeah.
And isn't that the hallmark of a great politician?
What?
You grew up in a kampong and you chase your own chickens.
It means when you grow up humble. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, humble.
Possibly.
Because I mean, you have to, if you have to chase your own chickens, right? It really molds you as a person. And he never had that experience.
Correct.
Or at least I from what I gather lah.
Yeah.
But I mean, okay, so we haven't really covered. If you're listening, you've heard Rishi Sunak. Maybe you haven't dived deep. We haven't covered what happened in the lead up to this. He didn't just suddenly become prime minister, and I think it's worth just giving a very high level overview. So his first foray or first post came about in 2015 when he was elected the Conservative MP for Richmond in Yorkshire. And then he was keen for Brexit. He voted for Brexit. And then 2018, he got his first ministerial job. And then 2019, he endorses Boris Johnson. He gets a new job as Treasury Minister under the then Chancellor Sajid Javid, I think. And then he resigns, and then Sunak gets promoted to the role of Chancellor in February 2020, which was already the first minister of Indian origin to hold such a high position in the British government. So it's not saying he came out of nowhere.
Yep.
He was already a high flyer as shit. Right. Then in April 2020, at the start of COVID, he actually won some praise for how he dealt with the mini budgets.
Yeah.
And then in 2021, when Boris Johnson's reign was really kind of shaky, Rishi Sunak was seen as, okay, he's going to take over. And like a couple of months ago, they actually ran against Liz Truss, who he eventually lost to. I think she got like 54.7% of the vote, which is not like overwhelming, right? And then when Liz Truss resigned, there were two other candidates who came along with Rishi Sunak, one of which was Boris Johnson. But he withdrew, and then I'm not so sure the other one. No, because the other one also dropped out.
Yeah.
And then Rishi Sunak became the prime minister.
Yeah, and there's a lot of. I think he was the finance minister at one point, right?
Yeah. So he was a minister under the chancellor.
Yeah, that's right. So
then he became the chancellor.
Yeah, so I think there is and supposedly during COVID he came to the forefront for supposedly doing a pretty decent job of propping up the economy at a point when it was in real trouble. That's why I think people the general impression of him is that he's a smart guy for sure and a pair of safe hands to lead the country. But I think one thing there was I think if you read, you see that the opposition Labour Party is 100% going to hammer him for his privileged background. There's word that they're going to go all in on that already and the instability in the Conservative Party as well, given the number of PMs that they have changed since in the last few years, right? So remains to be seen now whether he'll be a very long serving PM in that case.
Yeah. But I was just thinking, I mean, like now, of course, like it's very celebratory and, like everyone's happy, Same thing happened with Liz Truss, right? Female PM. So now it's like the honeymoon phase, and only time will tell what will happen. But I was just thinking from a more micro level, right?
Yeah.
If you, he married the daughter of like a fucking billionaire who created a company that has like changed the world. Okay, Infosys. It's one of those companies that maybe is not front and center of entertainment news, but it changed the world. So I don't know whether there was like a chip on his shoulder or maybe his father-in-law was like, hey, come on, I started fucking Infosys. You go hedge fund, you do this. So now can you imagine Rishi Sunak, like the first meal he has with his father-in-law, right? He sits down, he's like, yo, man, I'm the fucking PM.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I win already. I win.
Actually, that's now you talk about it, that's actually a great strategy for those people with like you marry someone whose parents are way more successful than you could ever dream of be in your life. Even if you're a multi-millionaire, they're like billionaire, they like
they're billionaire,
they have a thousands of you inside their bank account. So it's like, how do you even beat that? You could just spend the rest of your life just toiling away, and people will still say that you are privileged. They still say that you are in a very comfortable position. You didn't earn everything yourself. They say that you got what you got because of your connections. But then, if you choose a career in politics, which is a much less smaller paying job than being a multi-millionaire hedge fund owner, but the influence you get is multiple. That's a good way to just shut those in-laws up, right?
Yeah, that's why.
Because they can't argue with you. Like they can't buy. You can't. No amount of money can buy history. No amount of money can just buy you the the leadership of the country and all that, right?
Yeah, he can literally tell his father-in-law, yo, are you the first Indian billionaire? No. Okay. Are you the first Indian like multi-billionaire? No.
Yeah.
But I am the first fucking Indian PM of the UK.
Yeah, even if it's just for 6 weeks or something, he's still the title.
Even it's like 6 weeks, he's like, now go get me my chai.
Yeah.
Okay, go get me my chai.
Sorry, I got a meeting with the king. I got to go kiss his ring right now.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, you're meeting Sundar Pichai, is it? Oh, yeah, have fun. Have fun. Yeah. I'm meeting the king.
Yeah. In fact, after that, I'm hosting Sunja at 10 Downing Street. He's coming over for tea.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. After you all have your little playtime, him and I will talk business.
After you all do your billionaire yacht thing, then he'll come over to the residence, PM's residence. But it's an interesting strategy. I never thought of it that way. That if you know you have like in-laws that you can never be as good as the in-laws in the eyes of your wife and all, then you got to find this alternate route that is probably fraught with a lot of danger, in the sense of like there's no guarantee that you can work your way to being PM, but if there's a chance, you still got to go for it.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah. Maybe now he even called his dad, maybe like his dad-in-law. Last time was like Papa. Now it's Narayana. Narayana. I'll see you at dinner.
Yeah. When you address me, you call me Prime Minister Sir.
Yeah, Prime Minister Sir.
Yeah.
Prime Minister Sir. But I mean, like, the thing about his position of taking over also now is fucking tricky, because Liz Truss resigned because it was a shit show, right? There was like open calls for her to resign. If you see videos, you'll see people from her Tory party just calling out, saying, you fucked up, you do this. So she left, and I can't imagine, like, he's coming in. He's really like a lot younger than a lot of the other politicians, and the Tory party themselves seem divided. And then now you got like the Labour also, who is going for his neck. Oh, it's crazy. It's insane, like the challenges he faces.
Yeah, I think one thing that I just reading and listening to commentary and all is that his age actually works against him, right? Because because of the history and tradition of a lot of the politics in the UK. Usually there's a lot more reverence and respect for older people because of their connections and their having gone through all the different world events under different cabinets and all that, right? So I think it's a bit of a different situation from like the PM of Finland, right? She it was celebrated that she was very young and had the energy and the power and all that. But the UK comes with its own very much more global set of problems, right? Like navigating Brexit, for example. It's an unprecedented event, and how many people have any kind of experience doing that kind of thing, lah? So being young and being energetic and youthful can only bring you that far. You kind of need to also be able to garner support of everyone within your own party and the government and all that. And that's where I think because of the way institutions and all that work in the UK, it might be a bit tougher. Yeah.
Well, I guess it's still interesting. Like I mean, I've never been more interested in British politics. Or maybe I have, but now there's renewed interest, like, because it's just interesting to see. It's like when Obama became president of the USA, it was uncharted territory.
Yeah.
Now it feels like, okay, like, what's going to happen next? Is he going to fly to Moscow to talk to Putin?
Yeah.
Is he going to like meet the UK PM? So it just feels like, and I mean, like an Indian person going to talk to Putin, just something like, I mean, it's new, it's new, you know?
No, I can't wait for him to come to Singapore, meet Lee Hsien Loong, then after that, go into a Little India or something like, right?
Oh, lama, Little India. Oh, lama.
Yeah, it'll be dressed up for him. But I think one thing we know for sure is that the name Rishi is no longer it's no longer an obscure name anymore. Like, maybe before this year, if the first time you heard of Rishi was because you watched our NDP and then you saw Rishi Budrani, the host. Like, I think for a lot of Singaporeans, that might have been their first interaction with Rishi. But now Rishi is going to be one of those names that, should we name our child Rishi? Yeah, it's an interesting name. And then name him after Prime Minister of the UK. Yeah, that's quite cool.
So how you think Rishi Budrani, our good friend, feels about this?
I think it's amazing for him, Like no,
you think so?
I think nobody's ever going to ask him, okay, Rishi, can you spell that again? Oh, yeah. Oh, you want hey, Rishi, your coffee is here. Hey, Raishi, your coffee is here. Nobody's ever going to get his name wrong because everyone knows the name Rishi already. Like, you get it right. You get like Harish, people always spell it wrongly, or they Harish,
like
Harish or Harsh or Harsh,
Yeah.
But if the PM was Harish, nobody will ever get it wrong. Your Starbucks order will be perfect every time.
I would still take that over having the British PM be called Harish.
Why?
Because it's just a bit more memorable. Like, you think about Rishi Budrani now, right? And I guess we should ask him after this. Like, the moment you say, like, oh, you know Rishi Budrani, the stand-up comic, already people who mistake some Indians for other Indians.
Yeah.
Then the moment you say Rishi Budrani, people are going to be like, oh, I thought his last name was Sunak. But like, no, it's just a stand-up comedian. Confirm, if I was Rishi, right, I'll be like, fuck this, man.
And then,
like people searching on Instagram also, Rishi Budrani. Now Rishi Budrani comes up, right?
Yeah.
No, it's going to be Rishi Sunak, dude.
Yeah, the Google SEO is going to be terrible for him. Like, every time people type Rishi, it always come out Sunak. It'll never be Rishi Budrani.
And then can you imagine the jokes the next time he MCs some government thing or something and they're like, oh, we have Rishi, not the British PM, but the stand-up comic. It just feels like...
that
just feels like...
It feels like that's an inevitable... I mean, there's pros and cons to it, right? I would say the fact that more people know their name Rishi and, they recognize you. But it's tougher to stand out from other Rishis already.
Yeah. So is this time for another poll or not? I think it's a con, man.
I think so.
If the British PM is the same name as you, I would not want it. I would prefer to have it different. What about you?
Wow, tough one. But this is a tough one. I gotta think about it. I'll vote on the poll as well. I'll vote on the poll.
Okay. Another poll.
Yeah.
I like these polls.
Yeah.
For me, it's no. I don't want any world leader to be called Harish.
Yeah.
No.
No. Yeah.
Okay.
Noted. But
noted. Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, we
go tell all your Indian children out there named Harish.
Yeah.
Don't enter politics. Don't be a high achiever.
Don't become.
Don't rise to the top.
Yeah.
Correct.
True.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think it's a good time to also transition to our next topic, which is also related to a UK billionaire.
I thought you were going to say an Indian person.
I mean, but I mean the bigger subject of this whole thing is about the UK billionaire, right? But yeah, what is this topic? This goofy topic we're going to talk about.
So just to clarify, the Indian person I was referring to was Shanmugam.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Not because that just to clarify. After that, I realized, oh shit, I better clarify because it is issue around the death penalty with regards to something that the billionaire Mr. Richard Branson said on 10th October.
Yeah.
So essentially, Richard Branson had a blog post kind of criticizing Singapore's policy towards the treatment of an individual who unfortunately was executed, I think a few months ago, Nagendran Dharmalingam, who we spoke about on a previous podcast. So he posted, and he has been quite vocal over the past few months, even at the start of the year, about our death penalty, especially when it comes to drugs.
Yeah.
So on 22nd October, the Ministry of Home Affairs, i.e. the ministry led by Shanmugam, kind of put out issued a release clarifying that Mr. Branson made some untrue claims. And that because Mr. Branson said that he, the Nagendran had a well-documented intellectual disability, that Singapore had breached our international commitments to protect people with disabilities, and they just refuted that.
Yeah. And
but
what's
the crux of it?
Most importantly, they invited Richard Branson to come to Singapore for a live televised debate against Shanmugam, right? And they would pay for his flight and accommodations in order to make that happen. So it's a sort of a no happy, go outside and settle kind of statement from the MHA. So I think a lot of people are sharing it because it just sounds like something from a show or something. It's so brazen. Like, could it possibly have been someone, a ministry that put out this statement, But yeah, it turned out to be 100% real. And the invitation still stands. I don't think Richard Branson has replied on anything, if I'm not wrong. But yeah, what was your most immediate thoughts when you first heard of this thing happening?
I mean, it did feel a bit, I wouldn't say petty, but it did feel like, is this necessary? Maybe it's because it was a statement from the ministry itself, as opposed to a politician on Twitter, for example. Because this one, I mean, you're inviting Richard Branson, who's not a politician. He's very influential, he's very powerful, he's very rich. But to come and have a live debate, it almost feels a bit like trivializing it to a certain extent. Yeah, but that was my thought. What about you?
Yeah, I think like what you're saying, it's the MHA is an institution, right? The Ministry of Home Affairs. And inviting a private citizen of the UK, and not even a government official or anything, a private citizen of the UK to come to Singapore to debate about something that honestly, I also think Richard Branson also doesn't have any real skin in the game in this whole thing, right? He's just an activist who wrote a post about it and all that, right? But to invite him to come on public money as well, right? Paying for his accommodation and flights and all. Like, what is the purpose in that other than giving our own minister Shanmugam a chance to debate a billionaire, right? It just seems like like not necessarily. I don't think it's not like people are clamoring for this debate. It's not like people are like I want to see Jake Paul fight Anderson Silva kind of thing, right? So this gives me the same sense of that whole like YouTubers going to boxing matches. They're like, YouTubers, Jake Paul's gonna fight former MMA champion Tyron Woodley, and I'm like, seriously, like I'm not that interested to watch that. Why do they keep forcing us to want to try and watch that? Forcing it down our throats and all. So nobody was asking for this. I mean, I know about Richard Branson's blog post and all, but I was never like, oh yeah, I'm so interested to really hear what he has to say in person and for him to come to Singapore and be proven wrong. That doesn't do anything for me. Even as someone who reads the news and generally is interested in these topics. Yeah, that's what I thought.
That's the thing. Like, for me, I would totally watch this shit. I would totally watch it. Even if it's a pay-per-view thing, I would watch it. Which really reminds me of those kind of, like, how you say, almost like party trick kind of events. Like, going for Singapore Pro Wrestling, where it is a theatrical performance.
Yeah.
Right. In this case, it just feels a bit weird. I mean, now even reading the official statement by the Ministry of Home Affairs, I mean, there are like 19 paragraphs with a whole bunch of references and all.
Yeah.
I mean, they could factually kind of rebut here and there, but the last sentence of the entire thing, right?
Yeah.
after they say they will pay for the flight and accommodation to Singapore, which I mean, he also owns an airline, so it just feels like. So Mr. Branson, this is the exact verbatim wording. Mr. Branson may use this platform to demonstrate to Singaporeans the error of our ways and why Singapore should do away with laws that have kept our population safe from the global scourge of drug abuse. So that's why it feels like an official statement from Ministry of Home Affairs. This is borderline like entertainment news.
Yeah. It's dripping with sarcasm, right? For sure.
Sarcasm, passive aggression and all.
Yeah. And I mean, maybe to correct what I was saying earlier, like if it does happen, I would watch it also. You know, I'm not going to lie. But you'll have the same feel of when Donald Trump had that summit with Kim Jong-un, right? When they came to Singapore and then they I think it was at Capella Hotel, and then they walked around looking at plants and shit like that, and then signed something and shook hands. There's just this whole pomp and circumstance about it. But at the end of the day, you know that it was all like, well, what's the point of this whole event? Like, so airy-fairy. It doesn't really convince anyone or do anything different for global politics, right? So it's like, that's how I feel about it. Like, I'll watch it, like, again, bring out the analogy of like watching Logan Paul fight or Jake Paul box or something, whatever, right? I will watch it, but the end result is like, do I think Jake Paul is really like a world class fighter? I think I wouldn't, right? To me, it's like an exhibition match, and there's not much point to it that way, right? Yeah.
No, but even like the example of Trump versus Kim Jong-un, I do feel there was some historic significance there because it was meeting the dictator of North Korea in a third party, in a different country. Right. So I think that one also has more significance than this to me, But I mean, Shanmugam himself shared it on his Facebook.
Yeah.
So it's not just the ministry; it's this. So it just feels like it's just weird seeing this pan out because of course Richard Branson is not going to come.
Actually, we don't 100% know whether he would 100% say no, right?
That's true. I mean, now I guess he has time on his hands,
Yeah.
That would be interesting, But okay, so then what is the difference between this and say Shanmugam debating the host of Hard Talk?
Yeah, I was just thinking about that, I think before people just say that we are just bashing Singaporean politicians as they go up against the Western powers and all that. We actually, I think on our podcast, we advocated for a lot of people to watch the Shanmugam's interview with Hard Talk, right? I think we were saying that it was quite a performance from Shanmugam in the sense of
positive
performance.
Yeah.
I mean, I think taking aside his arguments and everything, I think his delivery and how he argued his points was very strong, right? When we're not saying that Shanmugam would do badly or anything, what we're saying is I guess it's like why Richard Branson, of all people, right? Is there a specific reason for him to do it? Whereas Hard Talk, I think, was a very specific reason because Hard Talk is known for tackling these kind of issues with world leaders, right? And putting them in the hot seat and everything. So there is you kind of know, everyone, the audience, the host, everyone kind of knows what we're walking into. Whereas like if you are really just sitting down for a debate with Richard Branson, I honestly haven't seen any videos of Richard Branson in recent times or anything either. He's a billionaire, but I don't think he is as high a profile in recent years as Elon Musk or Zuckerberg and all these people, right? So is he going to be a great debater? I also don't know. Will it really be entertaining? I'm not sure. But now that we talk about it, and I think actually there is a part of me that does hope that he takes up the challenge of coming over for debate. Just to also keep our politicians honest as well, right? In the sense that if you put out this thing here and then they agree to do it, then make it happen, and then a billionaire comes and with his resources, what can he do to advance his point versus what our politicians will do, right?
Yeah.
The funny thing was when I was pulling up the headlines and all, I was trying to look for who international publications that reported on this piece of news lah. And I think the only one that I saw was on South China Morning Post, where the headline was like, Singapore invites Virgin Atlantic's Richard Branson to death penalty debate with Minister Shanmugam. So when I read the first part, I was like, my mind was moving a bit slower than what I was reading. So I was like, Singapore invites Richard Branson to death match. That was going on in my head, like trial by combat or something like that. Some Game of Thrones shit. But yeah, it's just a death penalty debate. It's not an actual death match or Mortal Kombat match.
But then, so if you look at the actual blog post, it was on the virgin.com website, no? Because, I mean, he has a link to his blog on that website. So then do you think that if the ministry doesn't take a stand, that's not good? Because he is someone who's super influential, right? And this article, chances are, given his reach, I mean, even his Instagram post gets like 55,000 likes. So hundreds of thousands of people see his posts, right?
Yeah.
So then, can the ministry not take a stance?
I think, similarly, one thing that did cross my mind was like, what is with the timing of this announcement, right? And, similar to what we were talking about the last time was about the completion of the studies that show that most Singapore residents do actually support the death penalty, right? So is there maybe a sense of just building on the momentum from the release of those studies to just answer anyone who has ever said anything about the death penalty in Singapore? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As opposed to really thinking about, is it because it's on the Virgin Atlantic block? Is it because he's more influential or anything like that? Could it be just that, okay, now we have the official information from these studies that we can use as ammunition, in case to say that, if you're speaking bad about our death penalty, you're speaking bad about what 70% of Singaporeans believe, you know? And if you are an individual, you want to come to our country and tell us how we should live our lives, maybe that's the thinking behind it. Because I mean, I know because I get your question. I have the same question, like why Richard Branson? Why specifically? Why do they have to reply him specifically?
Yeah, correct. But I think I do think that even the commissioning of the survey and all, I mean, given that in the podcast we covered, there were 3 studies that were done starting in 2018 onwards. So you could almost see that the government knew that this is going to be an international debate in the near future. So why not put in the resources to do these sort of opinion polls? I mean, you can agree about the use of opinion polls, but it feels like a concerted effort because they know that if it's just the policy being put from the top down, they're going to get a lot of backlash. So I don't think this is going to stop. I think, even Richard Branson himself is part of a international coalition or community of advocates. So it's not just him. But he's probably one of the more influential people.
Maybe that's and that's the theme for MHAs the next fiscal year for them. Who's next? They're just going to go after
who's next,
one after the other, just keep inviting people until one of them actually agrees to come.
They're like Kurt Tay, is it? Kurt Tay,
I mean, I don't want to say too much about Kurt Tay also, because I think he's quite unfortunate situation, that fella. Yeah. But
basically, they're like in the club, just like anyone who makes noise, like what you said, go outside, you want to go outside? You don't want? Okay, then you fuck off. Then someone else comes, you go outside, you want to come? We go outside.
Yeah.
Right, we go outside.
The one other thing that also caught my mind is live televised debate. Televised is such a word from the 90s or 2000s, whatever. It just could be all over the internet, live streamed. Say live streamed. Yeah.
Live televised.
Who cares about television, man?
Yeah.
But
yeah, man.
Exciting and interesting times.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll be like those. We have a Singapore Pro Wrestling League and everything, right? Maybe it could become an exhibition
collab. Yeah. Exhibition. Yeah. You pay tickets, walao, the cost. You can just people pay, man. Maybe people won't pay. It'll be like underground. I don't know, man. There's as an event, it'll be great, man. I would be more keen to go for that than F1s.
I would. Yeah, I would. I hope they have concerts in the background as well, right?
Yeah.
Like
Correct,
keeping
correct,
people
correct.
entertained before the debate happens.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
But yeah, man.
speaking of entertainment,
Cool.
what is your one Shiok comment the last couple of days?
My one Shiok comment is a post by who's this person?
Mm.
Why is the name not showing? Yeah, it is Iced Milo. I think also a long time poster on
Yeah.
our Reddit. And there's a musical score of our intro,
Oh,
like the
musical.
Yalla Butt.
Yeah.
This user, the caption was, "Sorry, I was just bored, haha. Forgive the terrible notations." But they wrote out the musical notes of our intro. Holy shit!
Yeah, that's
Oh
right.
my god! And this looks like what I used to see in primary school. You know, when you do the recorder and all that. But there's even the yala and then but. Oh my god, this is insane. This blows my mind.
Yeah.
Are you looking at it?
Yeah, I have it
Is it?
from me.
It's insane. So shout out to Ice Milo.
Yeah.
This is one of the best things ever, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how to read it, but it's amazing.
It's cool.
Cool, man. That is mine, yeah.
I think as mentioned in the last podcast, I have to address it today. We finally have completed the poll of do you pronounce the year 2007 as 2007 or 2007? Right. So we did 2 rounds. We did one on our Reddit and we did one on Instagram as an Instagram story. So the Reddit lasted for 3 days, and the IG one lasted for 24 hours, right? As a typical Instagram story. So drum roll, please. The results. On Reddit, out of 81 votes, 57 people said 2007, and 24 said 2007. So that means it's more than 2/3. More than 2/3. Actually, what's the percentage? Let's go to the exact figures. 57.
I can tell you're enjoying this, like.
Yeah.
Wipe the smirk off your face, Terrence.
70% of the people who voted on Reddit say that they say 2007.
Okay.
Yeah. So that means 30% hold on to 2007. And on Instagram stories, I'm not sure how I can get the total number of people who voted, but it doesn't matter because we have the percentage that 77% say 2007 and 23% say 2007. So it almost quite similar to the numbers that support the death penalty in Singapore, like 70% and also of people say 2007. So there you have it, fellas. Shout out to everyone who voted, and even those comments are like, who the fuck says 2007? Well, there you have it.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, so just like my criticism for using opinion polls to decide whether the death penalty or not should stay, this is also an opinion poll. Okay, so those 20+% who stand with me, remember that why would you want to conform? Don't conform. The world is never changed by the conformists.
Yeah.
All right, stay different, stay special, stay who you are. As Steve Jobs said, it is the crazy. Here's to the crazy ones, man.
Yeah, but I will correct you.
Crazy ones.
This is not an opinion poll. People are not having an opinion about this. They're literally just telling us what they say.
It's their opinion.
It's not an opinion.
It's their opinion.
It's just a statement.
It's their opinion.
This is a statement of fact from people.
Dude, it's their opinion.
It's not an opinion.
How is this? No, it's the same way for the death penalty. They answer questions that are quantifiable, right? That can also be a statement, but is regarded as an opinion poll. So this is also an opinion poll. It's an opinion poll. People have different opinions.
That is not an opinion whether you say something or the other, or say something.
Of course it is.
Like pronouncing omelette or omelette. That's not an opinion.
Yeah.
It's just a way you do it, right?
No, my opinion is that I should say omelette.
Yeah. So that's your opinion as an omelette pronouncer, But I'm just this is similar to that. This just asks, do you pronounce omelette as omelette or omelette? Do you?
Yeah. So they pronounce it.
We're not asking people to think and tell us their opinion. They're saying this is how I pronounce it.
No, but you can extrapolate what? If someone does something,
No,
you
no,
can
no.
extrapolate
Then
that
you are.
it is their
Then
opinion.
that's the bad sign. So you're adding like people's opinions into it. There's no opinion here.
Okay,
This is just how it is.
regardless,
This is how it is.
this poll is not fact. Okay, it is not fact. It is just a poll. You know, it is just a poll.
It's a poll.
Yeah, I will continue to say 2007.
Yeah.
Someone did point out that you never say 2010. Do you say 2010 or you say 2010?
2010. Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah, 2010.
Weird.
It's okay. It's okay.
Wasting all the syllables. You know, if you add up all the extra the time spent on that one extra syllable, right, you can fucking get a few days of your life back, no?
Yeah, but it's in my mind, I'll never get past having to say an extra O. You know, 2007.
But extra O, but it's still less syllables. It's still 2007. 2007.
Yeah, 2007. You know, factually, you know, it's just this.
No, it's one extra syllable.
2007. Then why don't you say 2007? You know, like it doesn't make sense. Like, why would you say 20 for one and then 07 for the other?
No. It makes sense to me and the other 23%. I stand with you guys.
Stand with 23%. Please stand together with Harish in the corner. You know, and then
can stand with me. Can stand with me.
Go for your detention class.
Yeah, we can watch all these lemmings, all these 2007 lemmings to as they party along, oblivious to the true people with foresight, with true foresight.
Go for your omelette branches and everything. Go for it. Yeah. But anyway.
Exactly. Omelette branches are the best kind of branches.
Yeah.
Yes.
But we also, we should also jump onto the one Shiok thing the last few days.
Yeah. Would you like to go first?
Yeah. I think you and I, we were very privileged to be invited to the premiere of a movie recently, Ajuma. Ajuma, a Singapore movie actually, that has been nominated for the Golden Horse, Best Picture for the Golden Horse Awards, which is like the Chinese equivalent of the Oscars, right? And it stars very beloved MediaCorp actress Hong Hui Fang, who has been around since the 80s and everything. And the story is of a Singaporean mother who goes to who loves K-dramas and ends up in Korea with some drama going around her. So I only putting this as my one Shiok thing because I think for people who say that Singapore movies are all like Jack Neo movies and they're kind of boring and all, I think this is something different. So it could be worth checking out if you are open-minded enough to try something out. And I mean, I won't spoil anything for anyone, but yeah, Harish, you also watched the movie. What do you have to say about it?
I'll reserve my comments lah. I don't wanna influence people before they watch it.
Yeah. I would say. I mean, the very least you could say is that it's got a hype train going on now, lah, right? And,
the hype train is
everyone is throwing their weight behind it. And also it might be worth checking out if you want to see where Singapore films are at right now, lah. Yeah.
Correct.
All right. And what is your one Shiok thing?
Okay. My one Shiok thing is there's this architectural project called The Line in Saudi Arabia. Have you heard of it?
Very familiar. Yeah.
Yeah, so the Middle East, like Dubai, they're known for having like the Palm, the Palm residential development, the World, and it's almost like a lot of the things within those countries are man-made, like because they are in a desert, right? So The Line, right, is something that I saw a video of the progress right now, but essentially, right, it was announced in January 2021, and the whole concept is that it is 170 kilometer vertical city in the middle of the desert.
Oh shit! Wow.
A vertical city, and it's not just like a city that looks like buildings and all.
Yeah.
If you imagine it, it is 170 kilometers long and it is a few kilometers wide. So it is tall as shit. It would become the 12th tallest building in the world. So it's tall. So there's this vertical a block, a vertical line in the middle of the desert, and I think there are like 3 or 4 or 5 floors of city.
Okay.
And on either side of the line, right, is reflective mirrors lah.
Oh shit.
So it's meant to like basically be invisible from a distance when in the desert.
Wow.
And construction work has already begun. There's drone footage of the digging and all. So there's plans to not have any cars, no streets, or carbon emissions. It is estimated to cost about 100 to 200 billion, with some estimates as high as 1 trillion. But it's fucking insane. You look at the pictures, right? It is insane.
Yeah. I'm looking at it
if
right
they
now.
can pull this off, it's crazy. It's 500 meters tall, the building. And 170 kilometers long, just in the middle of the desert. It's meant to be completely self-sustaining, no carbon emissions, means completely carbon neutral. And it looks insane.
Yeah.
I cannot believe it's real. I cannot believe they're actually building it. But yeah, it's supposedly going to have 9 million residents. So the population density, so by comparison, right, Manila, which was the world's most densely populated city as of 2019, had 44,000 people per square kilometer. This one will have 260,000 people per square kilometer.
Wow, it's crazy.
What the hell? So it'll be 200 meters wide, 500 meters high, 170 kilometers long.
Wow. It's really like something out of science fiction.
Crazy. It's crazy.
It's like you're building a Great Wall, like a Great Wall of Saudi Arabia, like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Insane, man.
Yeah. It's crazy. And the train is supposed to go from one end to the other in 20 minutes, going at an average speed of 512 kilometers per hour.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Wow.
Just go check out the pictures. It's fucking insane.
Yeah.
It's insane. Yeah.
Cool, man.
But yeah, that's my one Shiok thing.
Cool. So, yeah.
Cool, man.
Let's carry on the celebrations of Rishi becoming Prime Minister.
Yeah. Which Rishi are you talking about?
Rishi Sunak.
Oh, Rishi Sunak. Okay. The
yeah.
UK Prime Minister, not the stand-up comedian.
That's
okay. Cool. All right.
Cool, man.
Talk to you guys soon.